So week one of NFL preseason is in the books, and I want to spend today's video talking about the biggest winners and losers from this first week of the exhibition season as we inch closer to the start of the regular season. And our first winner is Shedeur Sanders of the Cleveland Browns. He was given no first team reps in training camp and then was given the start for the Browns in week one against the Carolina Panthers. And I actually thought, given the circumstances of not having any first team reps, not having a great supporting cast as well, that he put together a pretty intriguing performance. He threw for a couple of touchdown passes. He showcased some off-script playmaking as well. And I think his arm looked fairly live as well. Like, he did have some nice zip on a few passes. But I think the most positive thing that you could take away from it was his confidence and composure in the pocket. He was not scared to get hit. He made sure to hold on to the ball to the very last second to be able to rip a pass down the field. And while we still did see a negative aspect of his game, which is him thinking he's a little bit more athletic than he actually is and trying to outrun defensive ends behind the line of scrimmage a little bit, I think Shedeur proved that he does belong in the NFL in his first game. And while it's unlikely that he's going to be the week one starter for the Browns, I have a feeling he's going to start the most games out of any Browns quarterback this upcoming season. Now, our first loser is Anthony Richardson of the Indianapolis Colts. Richardson did get the start over Daniel Jones in their first preseason game against the Baltimore Ravens, and there was some optimism heading into this game because Richardson has been playing better in training camp this summer. He got into the game and had a couple of completions, but the big story of the night was when he did not see a blitz coming. He ended up sliding the protection of the offensive line to the wrong side, which allowed a free rusher to get a hit on him. He was pretty much completely blindsided. His finger was completely dislocated as well, and it forced him to exit the game and not return, which gave even more reps to Daniel Jones to build some more chemistry and showcase his skills as well with the starting offense. Now, this injury is fortunately not going to impact Richardson moving forward. He should be able to practice next week with no limitations, but the fact that he's still having some of these issues of not being able to diagnose defenses pre-snap in year 3 is definitely not encouraging. Missing out on more valuable reps in the preseason in midst of a quarterback battle is something that you just definitely don't want if you're Anthony Richardson. Now, our next winner is somebody I've talked about a lot in the past couple of weeks, and that is TreVeyon Henderson of the New England Patriots. He looks like he's going to be one of the next superstar running backs in the NFL. His very first touch in this preseason game against the Washington Commanders was a 100-yard kickoff return where he basically just blazed past every single Commanders player, kind of with ease. He also had a really nice 18-yard run that again showcased his elusiveness and to get into the second level. And honestly, I just continue to get higher and higher on what Henderson can do this season, even moving forward. We knew coming out of Ohio State, he was a great pass blocker. He had great speed to his game as well. But what he has showcased this offseason as a receiving back is really what's going to separate him from some of the other running backs in this class. And New England does not have a ton of weapons on offense as it is. I mean, Stephon Diggs is their wide receiver 1, and he's coming off of an ACL injury. He really hasn't had a good season in a couple of years now. But now they have a player in Henderson who anytime he touches the ball is a home run threat to score. He has showcased the ability to line up in the slot or out wide and also run some routes, especially in the red zone. That is going to be such a big weapon for Drake May and his development in his second season. Our second loser is another rookie running back, and it's Ashton Jeanty of the Las Vegas Raiders. Jeanty, coming into the NFL draft, was viewed as one of the best running back prospects we've seen in recent memory, but in his first action against the Seattle Seahawks, things did not go super well. He had 3 carries for -1 yards and really could not get anything going. If you take a look at those runs, really none of them were his fault. The offensive line could not block Seattle up front whatsoever. But I do think anytime you're a top 6 pick as a running back in the year 2025, when the running back value is probably as low as it's ever been, it is important to show how good you are early on. And I don't think Jeanty quite got that opportunity, only getting 3 carries and not a lot of great blocking up front. I'm not going to sound the alarm or anything and call Jeanty a bust after one preseason game when he didn't get a lot of carries or nice blocking. But I will say, for the people who were not super high on him when he entered the NFL draft, mainly pointing towards his smaller size and playing at a smaller school in Boise State, they get a little validation from this game. But I'm looking forward to next week's preseason game. I think Jeanty will perform a lot better, especially in the box score. Our next winner is first-round quarterbacks in Cam Ward and Jackson Dart. They both had pretty impressive debuts in my opinion. Ward started a little bit slow against the Buccaneers. The Titans offense did go 3 and out. He looked a little bit nervous in that first series, which I guess can be expected for a first overall pick in his first ever NFL action. But after that drive, he settled in. He went 5 for 6 for 67 yards and setting up a touchdown for the Titans' #1 offense as well. And I think you saw a lot of the positive attributes that he does bring. His plus arm talent and his composure of staying in the pocket, being able to just maneuver around the rush and stay comfortable with defenders around him. That was really cool to see. And Jackson Dart of the New York Giants came in after a few series of Russell Wilson, and I thought he put together a really good performance as well. I think Brian Daboll did a really good job of easing him into the game. I mean, there was a lot of screen passes and just kind of design throws to get him settled in, but we saw some design quarterback runs of him utilizing his athleticism. We saw a beautiful touchdown throw down the left sideline, perfectly placed. At the end of the day, 12 of 19 for 154 yards, a touchdown, and also 24 yards on the ground. There were a few throws that I noticed where he was a little bit inaccurate, throwing outside the numbers. He was getting locked onto his first read at times as well. But overall, I think he showcased a lot of the positive attributes that he had at Ole Miss. And now it's about cleaning up some of the other areas of his game. And the Giants really might have something in their young quarterback. And now our next winner is the starting Cincinnati Bengals offense. We saw Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase really carry on from where they left off last season. Burrow led the league in passing touchdowns and passing yards. Jamar Chase was the Triple Crown winner. And they dominated the backups for the Philadelphia Eagles, having 2 scoring drives, Joe Burrow almost having a perfect game, and of course Jamar Chase with a few amazing plays himself. Burrow went 9 of 10 for 123 yards and 2 touchdowns, and Chase had 4 of those catches for 77 yards and a touchdown as well. I do also like the approach of Zach Taylor and the coaching staff to actually play these starters in the preseason to just get them some more reps so they can avoid these slow starts that they've had in recent years. Maybe this has no impact on how the Bengals start in 2025, but with how things have been the last handful of years, you definitely had to change up your approach. So I was a fan of the Bengals playing their starters in this first game. But our next loser is on the other side of the ball for the Bengals. It was their defense. They got absolutely shredded by the Philadelphia Eagles backup quarterback in Tanner McKee and backup running back Will Shipley. I know the Bengals are running a new scheme on defense. I know Trey Hendrickson was not out there either, but oh my goodness, their defense looked as bad or maybe even worse than it did last year. McKee went 5 of 5 for 73 yards in those first 2 possessions that led to touchdowns, and Will Shipley had 7 carries for 48 yards, including a 38-yard run where there was a massive hole and nobody even close to him on the carry. The Bengals offense, again, can break every single record. Burrow can throw for 50 touchdowns, and this team still will not win a playoff game or go very far in the playoffs if their defense continues to be this bad. You can honestly say Trey Hendrickson is probably a winner in all of this as well, because he's probably smiling ear to ear right now watching that performance and how bad they were against the backups for the Eagles. And our next winner is another quarterback in Justin Fields of the New York Jets, who had a really good opening drive leading the team all the way down the field and scoring a touchdown. He went 3 of 4 passing for 42 yards and had a 13-yard touchdown run as well. And this was especially good to see for Fields because he did suffer that dislocated toe a couple of weeks ago, and it seems like that's not going to impact him at all moving forward. And it's also a good start to a do or die season for Fields as well, because if he does not do good this year for the Jets and keep them competitive week in and week out, he is not going to get a starting job in the NFL probably ever again. This is already the 3rd team that Fields has been on, and while you do still see the athleticism and arm talent, has to be able to stay in the confines of the pocket more and be a better pocket passer if he does want to survive long term this league. And I do think New York can be a fun team to watch this year if Fields does just play pretty decent football. They have Garrett Wilson, they have Breece Hall, and an upgraded offensive line. I'm excited to see what he can do this year, and he had a good start this past Saturday. And our last loser is just going to be backup quarterbacks, because a couple of them had really bad performances that have been getting hyped up a lot this offseason so far. The first one being Joe Milton of the Dallas Cowboys. There's been some murmurs, oh, maybe he can push Dak Prescott in the future to be the starting quarterback, and he showed why he's a backup. He was 17 of 29 for 143 yards, 1 touchdown to 1 interception, and honestly got away with a couple of more interceptions as well. Milton is still a really fun player to watch because he has an absolute cannon of an arm. He can make some unreal off-platform throws, but he still doesn't have much touch into his game. It's very hard for him to layer some throws in the intermediate range of the field. And when you can only throw fastballs, it's very hard to stay consistently accurate. And we did see that rear its ugly head against the Rams this weekend. Another quarterback who really struggled was Dolphins rookie quarterback Quinn Ewers out of Texas. I've even talked about it. There's been a lot of talk about how he's performed in training camp so far. far, and it did not translate into his preseason game against the Chicago Bears. Ewers was 5 of 18 for 91 yards, 0 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, but did have 2 fumbles on the day. He was obviously not given a great situation. The Dolphins' starting offensive line is not very good, so you can imagine how the third string unit was. There were a few drops in there as well, but Ewers himself was still pretty erratic. He missed a few throws being inaccurate, and also when you get sacked, you need to hold on to the football, and that's got to be something that he cleans up moving forward. But if there was any speculation if Ewers could push Zach Wilson for the backup quarterback spot, that's going to have to hold off at least for another week because his first preseason game did not go well. But our last winner and thing I want to mention in the video is Cam Little of the Jacksonville Jaguars converting on a 70-yard field goal, which would be an NFL record if it was a regular season or playoff game. I low-key still think it should count. I mean, 70 yards is insane. He literally kicked the ball from midfield and had a few yards to spare once it went through the uprights. I wonder how often the Jags will dabble in those long field goals. I mean, it is pretty risky because if you miss it, the team's taken over, like basically in your territory. But if that is something that Little can convert a couple of times this upcoming NFL season, he'll become one of the more valuable players in the entire league, just like that. But those are all of my winners and losers from week 1 of NFL preseason. Obviously, take everything with a grain of salt. Preseason is not quite real football. The regular season, there's more speed, there's more scheme and game planning involved as well. And in some of these matchups, some teams will play more starters than others, so it can impact as well how maybe other players look that are on the field. So by no means is somebody a bust because of their first preseason game, and by no means is somebody a star now after their first preseason game. But it was still cool to review our first weekend of football and see the players that stood out and the ones that need to do a little bit more moving forward. But if you are new to the channel, be sure to subscribe, as less than 2% of you who watch these videos are subscribed, which is insane. So be sure to hit the button and also drop a like in the video if you did enjoy it. But as always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you guys in my next one.